right, I think we're live. Hopefully we are. Getting maybe not. So yeah, I'll try hitting the button there. Yeah. Okay. Okay, it looks like we are. I think we're live. Um, we're gonna try to do something a little bit new here. We've never done this as a church before, but I'll just kind of introduce myself. I want to thank everybody for joining us here. I'm Pastor Austin Gilliland. I pastor New Life Apostolic Church in Kendallville, and in order to kind of help with all of the spread of this coronavirus, we have shut down our in-person meetings as a church here for these next couple of weeks. So this is what we're doing. We're going to be meeting here on Wednesday nights. We're just going to start it out like this. I'm going to have just a Bible study tonight. It's not, I don't know exactly how long we'll go, but I just want to thank you for joining us in this Bible study. On Sundays, we will be coming again, and we're even going to start it out on Sundays with a little bit of music and some praise and worship. Tonight, we're not going to have that praise and worship, but we're gonna have a Bible study, and I'm excited about what's taking place. On Sundays, I will say we're gonna go live at 11 o'clock on Sundays, and so you can join us live at 11 o'clock. And then all of these services, all these recordings will be archived either on our Facebook page if you're watching on Facebook, or you could be joining us on our website. We have a link to this video on our website. We also have a YouTube channel if you watch on there. Any of these, I just want to encourage you. You can comment, interact with others. I know we have a lot of people that are planning on tuning in or being part of this on these services online, and so just encourage you, interact with each other online. And also with that, I'll say if you're watching on Facebook, then feel free to share this. They even have a thing where you can create like a watch party, and so go ahead and you can create a watch party, and you can have other people, invite them to join you, and hopefully you can all be blessed by what God is going to do here through these sermons. And so also just want to mention for any members of New Life, I know that we typically will take up an offering in our churches or in our church services, and not asking necessarily anybody else who would not be a member. I'm not asking you necessarily to give, but we do have that link that's there for the online giving. So if you've never done it before, it's really easy. There's even a walkthrough instructional video that can help you out with that, and so jump right in there. You can give online, even though we're not meeting in the church, there are still some expenses that the church has. So not only that, but giving is part of the way that we worship, and so I'm thankful to be able to give to God. One other thing that I want to touch on before we get into the Bible study is we're starting something tonight. We kind of kicked it off earlier today of getting some of it around, but since we are for these next 2 weeks we're not going to be meeting in person, we are doing something that's virtual small groups or our virtual life groups, and so that is for the most part going to be taking place on Facebook. And if you haven't already filled out that short survey, I promise really short. It's just your name and whether or not you're interested in doing it on Facebook. If you're not on Facebook, then we do have one group that is just a text chain, and so we're going to be kicking that off. I know there's some questions about what's going on with that, or kind of what we're going to be doing. And just to answer some of those questions, all of that, it's going to be related to what I'm doing here tonight. So on Wednesday nights, it's going to go from Wednesday to Wednesday. The discussion will go from Wednesday to Wednesday, and we'll be posting stuff. Me or my wife, one of us is in each one of these groups, and so we'll be posting different things throughout that. We want to encourage you to interact every day on there, and this is just a way for us to stay connected as the church body. And even when we're not with each other, maybe physically, we can still be with each other and encourage one another, just talk to each other about building each other up. Um, and in fact, one of our scriptures, or one of our values that we hold as a church, is about gathering. And that's the first value that we have. And in Hebrews, it tells us that we gather together in order to motivate each other to acts of love and good works. And even though we may not be gathering together in person, we can still do that, motivating one another to acts of love, acts of good works, making sure that we are really fulfilling what it means to be the church. We don't have to necessarily be in the church all the time to be the church. And so hopefully you can join in on those. If you haven't already, then you can jump in and you can be part of that. And we'll be posting stuff. You can just interact with everybody just like you do regularly on Facebook, and you can post within that group. You're only the people inside the group are able to see it. It is a private group, and so we'd have to accept the invite in order for people to be a part of it. All right, I'm going to get into what is our devotional, or what is the sermon tonight. And like I said, these life groups are going to be kind of talking about this throughout this whole week, up until next Wednesday. So I don't know if you recall the nursery rhyme. I'm sure you do. The nursery rhyme of the three blind mice. The nursery rhyme, how does it go? It goes, the three blind mice, see how they run, see how they run. And, if you stop and think about that, how often could that nursery rhyme be about your life? How often could that be about, when I think about it, a song about my life, and how I'm always in a hurry. See how I run. See how I run. How often could that be, the song of my life? That, I'm running from here to there. I'm running everywhere. I'm always in a hurry. And I think that probably sums up many of our lives, that we're always in a hurry. The truth of the matter is that, it's kind of just become part of us, part of our ethic, just part of, who we are, that everything needs to be done quickly. And, especially in this computer and internet age that we live in now, that it brought information to us in the blink of an eye, and it's enabled us to do tasks in mere seconds that before would take minutes or hours, or even days sometimes. Some of these things that can be done so quickly now, and you would think that would free up time, but the reality is it hasn't. It hasn't freed up time. I feel like we're in more of a hurry than ever. And I don't know, maybe if you've ever caught yourself being frustrated waiting for a computer to process that request that you put in for it. Like, you clicked on that button and all it gave you was that spinning wheel of death, or that actually, I don't even know. I do all Mac now pretty much, so it's always that spinning wheel of death. I don't know if Windows, if they still have that sand timer that's like flipping over and over and over. And it's like, my goodness, you get so frustrated over those 15 seconds of delay that you have because that computer didn't do what you wanted it to do immediately. I mean, that delay, it just cost us 15 seconds of our precious time. And perhaps that frustration, it does seem a little bit out of proportion when you take a little step back. That's like, oh, wait a minute, that was actually only 15 seconds of my time. But the truth is, that frustration is real. And maybe it's not your frustration about a slow computer, but rather it's your frustration with that car that is in front of you and it's only going the speed limit, and you are so frustrated with them because they're only going the speed limit. Or maybe it's that slow moving grocery line that you've been standing in and it feels like it's been forever. And how dare that person actually have a conversation with the cashier, and they're slowing the cashier down because you're taking my time. You're taking up my precious time. I'm in a hurry. Or maybe it's your coworker that they are just slow and they can't quite keep up with the pace. Or your kids when they couldn't get in the car quite fast enough and you end up being only 2 minutes early instead of the 5 minutes early that you were planning on getting there. I don't know what the frustration is, but I'm sure that you have many times when you've been in a hurry, and I know that everybody's different, and really I know that as I'm talking today that we're all in different life cycles, and even different life cycles have different levels of hurry that are associated with them. I mean, as a child, I may have been in a hurry at times, but it was because I was in a hurry to get from this side of the playground to the other side of the playground. Um, Not really that bad of a deal to be in that kind of a hurry. And I hope to one day be able to retire, and to me and my lovely wife to be able to just sit back and relax with our feet up, with the beach and the ocean in the background. That slowing down a little bit, at that point of our life, I look forward to that. That will be a wonderful time. And but there are cycles where, as the saying goes, we have to make hay while the sun's shining, and that is kind of a big part of our life. That as long as we have the time to do it, we need to accomplish as much as we can so that we can accumulate as much as we can accumulate, or even just simply make it to the end point of whatever it is that we're trying to reach. And so, because of that, we find ourselves in a hurry. And it's because of this that I want to talk for just a little while tonight about being addicted to hurry. Now, first of all, I want to say that hurry isn't evil. Though I do believe that hurry is often an enemy. As I said, some cycles of life, they really lend themselves to us hurrying to get things done. And likewise, some seasons, they cause us to hurry more than other seasons of our life. Many jobs, they have their busy seasons, and then they have their off seasons. If you're a farmer, then you can't wait to put the crops in, or you can't wait to harvest the crops. You just have a certain amount of time. You got to hurry to get it done. And so hurry in itself isn't evil, but the truth is, one of Satan's best tactics against the church, or against God's bride, against his people, is to get us busy and to cause us to hurry so much, because he knows that if he can't trip you up and cause you to sin, then if he can just get you to hurry or get you busy, then that's going to cause that separation in you and your relationship with God. So one thing that maybe you ask yourself is, or maybe you could ask yourself right now is, why am I running? Why am I in such a hurry? And now your reason for running, it may not be on this list, but I wouldn't doubt if it is that we run for a lot of reasons. We run out of enthusiasm. We run to get things done. We run because the clock is running out. We run because there's so much to do. We run to acquire these possessions. We run to catch up. We run to avoid being late. We run because of our jobs. We run so that we can be in control eventually. We run for success. We run to please people. We run for the rush of it. We run to be first. Or we simply run because we don't know how to stop. And that's kind of the bind to that deep addiction, that we just don't know how to stop. And, people who don't know how to stop running can begin that journey toward freedom with just one small behavior change, which I would say it just begins with one small step of realizing I need to slow down every once in a while. I think this craziness of what's been going on lately in our world, and really what's caused us to be here today with this coronavirus pandemic that's spreading, one thing that it's caused me to do is to step back and realize life changes sometimes, and kind of gets my attention to the fact that we need to pause every once in a while and reassess where are we at. Are we really spending time doing what's most important? And I don't know, maybe for this week for you, you felt more rushed than ever, or you felt more hurried than ever because you're out of your norm. But maybe it's caused you to slow down a bit and to say, hey, I need to pause for a moment. And if you have kids in your house, just pause and be with the kids. Pause and give them some attention. Or maybe it's just you and your spouse, and this is the most that you've been together in months because you're working from home and they're working from home. And you say, hey, let's just pause for a moment and maybe even like light a candle and like let's just have like a candlelight dinner or just pause and just do something and just say, hey, let's just take some time and stop being in such a hurry. See, the reality is, if you're always in a hurry, then you don't have time to spend with the most important person who you could ever spend time with. There was this woman in the Bible who Jesus was on his way to Jerusalem one day, and he stopped in this village, or he was passing through this village, and a woman named Martha, she asked Jesus to come into her house just to spend a little bit of time. And so this is in Luke chapter 10, beginning in verse 38. It says that as Jesus and the disciples continued on their way to Jerusalem, they came to a certain village where a woman named Martha welcomed him into her home. Her sister Mary sat at the Lord's feet listening to what he taught. But Martha was distracted by the big dinner that she was preparing. She came to Jesus and she said, Lord, doesn't it seem unfair to you that my sister just sits here while I do all the work? Tell her to come and help me. But the Lord said to her, my dear Martha, you are worried and upset over all of these details. There is only one thing worth being concerned about. Mary has discovered it, and it will not be taken away from her. See, Jesus, he was pretty clear about his message to Martha. He said, there you are in the kitchen, hurrying to prepare dinner for all of us, but your sister, she's doing the very thing that is the most important. She's spending time with me. She's right here spending time with her Lord and her Savior. She's right here spending time with Jesus. See, maybe you can ask yourself, have you been more like Martha lately? Or have you been like Mary? When was the last time that you had a reason to go and just to do one more thing, to put in those couple of extra hours of overtime, and yet you knew that those couple of extra hours of overtime is going to end up sending you straight to bed as soon as you get home? Or maybe it's that late night, and you know that late night is going to cause you to get up late and rush out the door instead of going to bed or just being able to get up in the morning and spending a few minutes, spending an hour, spending some time with Jesus, slowing down enough to spend some time with him. See, we can get so addicted to hurry that we don't make time for the most important person that we could ever make time with in our day. See, but our addiction to hurry, it causes us to miss out on more than just our precious time with Jesus. See, Jesus himself, he gave us this really great example of how to live life not in a hurry. If you look at Jesus in the example that he gave us in how he lived his life, he was one who he walked slowly through the crowd. He paid attention to people. He saw Zacchaeus up in the tree as he was passing through that city that day. He noticed the sick people, or he noticed those who were along the side. He noticed the widow woman, or he noticed that funeral that was happening one day, and it was the funeral of a young boy and his mother who was widowed. And he goes to that funeral, and he raises that boy to life. He notices these things. He notices, I love this one story about when Jesus had this really important man who came to him. And presented to Jesus a need. He said, my daughter is back at home. She's really sick. In fact, I think she's going to die. Could you hurry and be here, Jesus? And Jesus, he responds, and he says, yes, I'll come. This is Jairus, man, Jairus that comes. And Jesus says, yes, I'll come, and I'll be there for you and your daughter today. But on his way there, it says that the crowd is pressing around him, and all of a sudden Jesus stops. He wasn't in a hurry. He paused and he said, somebody touched me. Now realize that he's on his way to a dying girl. And yet he says, somebody around here, that they touched me. And Jesus pauses. And at this moment, he's looking around. And of course, one of his disciples says, well, Jesus, there's a lot of people touching you right now. He says, no, somebody really touched me. It was that woman with the issue of blood. This woman who, she just needed a healing that day. And Jesus, he wasn't in a hurry. He paused long enough to be there for that woman and to meet her need. See, Jesus was a man who lived his life not in a hurry. He was one who he showed us how to be present in the moment. His present to the moment nature really it increased his capacity to meet that woman that had that need right there in that moment, because he was there present in the moment. He was able to meet her right where she was at. I don't know, maybe it's your family that they just need you to be present in the moment. Maybe it's your friend, maybe it's a coworker, maybe it's that cashier that you're just trying to hurry and hurry through your day, but it's that cashier at Walmart or the cashier at the grocery store that they just need you to be present. They need you to not be in a hurry, to slow down. Just to talk to them, just a conversation, just a smile, just something that would say, hey, I care about you. That's what really being the church is all about. See, we are the church. We need to be the church. But if we're always in a hurry, how are we really being the church? There's a David, he wrote, and I'm going to bring this to a close, but David, he wrote about being like that deer that is panting for streams of water, that wants that water so badly. He says, just like that deer that wants the water, he says, I want to be like that for God. God, I want to long for you. I want to be that deer that I'm just running just to spend some time in the peace with you. See, Jesus, he told his disciples, he says, come to me, all of you who are weary and carry heavy burdens. He says, I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you. Let me teach you. Because I am humble and I am gentle at heart. He says, you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy to bear, and the burden I give you is light. He says, come and just spend some time with me. Come and let my presence be enough for you. Come and let me teach you. Just spend some time with me. Cast your heavy burdens on me. Cast your cares upon me. Just slow down. Don't be in a hurry so much. See, we need to turn off that belief switch that says that you are what you do. You are not what you do. All the things that you do doesn't make you the person that you are. God sees you as this beautiful being, this image that was created in his sight, or we were created in his image. That's who we are. It's not about what we do. It's about who we are, and that God longs to have a relationship with us. We need to turn off that belief switch that says committed living demands my exhaustion and being exhausted all the time. So we need to begin to believe that rest is a gift that God gave us, and we should practice it regularly. We should practice it as often as we can to find some rest in God. We need to slow down and find the pace that Jesus showed us how to live, so that we can have these interactions with others. So we need to slow down long enough to spend some time with Jesus Christ, because the reality is your eternity may depend upon it.